So I'm doing a demonstration about knitting, which you can do all sorts of fun things like make crazy hats that are totally not old lady-ish, and stuffed animals that you can then let babies play with, or the same old stuff like scarves, which I'm currently working on. Now, there are two styles of knitting. One is continental and one is English. The English hold their working yarn, which comes from the ball, in their right hand, which makes things a little slower, a little more difficult to progress to more complicated things such as color work, where you're holding multiple strands of yarn in your hands. So this particular scarf is kind of a fun little like basket weave looking pattern. So there's also times when I'm doing something called cabling, which you see a lot of times in please stop. You see a lot of times in like Irish kind of, you know, the knot work and things like that. So in this case, if we can do a little zoom in, I'm going to show you the basic knit stitch. So we've got one needle in each hand. We're going to go through the front of the loop and pull it open wide. We're going to go pull the yarn up from the bottom, pull that loop that we just made through, and pull it off of our left hand needle. And we can just keep doing that. And we're going to go off pattern a little bit, but that's okay, because knitting is great because you can actually go off pattern and then pull it out later and not have any problems. You can pull it out and make it just as good as new. So see, we can go a little faster because we don't ever have to change yarn from one hand to another. We can always just tension it and keep everything really nice and perfect in one hand, and it works out really well. Let me just get to the end of this row and then I can show you a purl stitch, which is the other basic thing in knitting. If you can knit and purl, you can make anything, as they say.
Mom, am I helping?
So we're almost done with this row. So a lot of people think that knitting is kind of only for old ladies, but I firmly disagree. I personally believe that anyone can knit, and there are quite a few male actors that actually knit. From my understanding, Ryan Gosling is a knitter, which the ladies love, of course. And actually in Scotland, men would sit and darn socks, which is fix holes in socks alongside their women folk, because quite frankly it had to be done. So either way, so we're going to push the new loops up on the needle. Of course I did it a little tight.
When you're recording how it's done.
And now we're going to turn our work around. And this is how we do any kind of flat work, is we turn it around. We pull the yarn to the front of the needle, and then we go through from the back to the front, pull that open wide so that it looks like a big H, I suppose. And then we pull it up over, pull that loop through, and pull it off the left-hand needle. And just like that, we're purling. And what this does is it gives us a really nice flat work. So we're going to go ahead and show how on this side you can see that the stitches go horizontally, and then on the other side, which you can actually see the pattern, but if I were to just knit straight and purl straight, then it would be vertical stripes versus the horizontal of the purl. So I'm actually going to show you in this hat where we've got horizontal stitches on one side and vertical stitches on the other. And if you pull it apart, you can kind of see the H's that I was talking about, like it's like a ladder. And that gives us a nice flat stitch that you can really do just about anything with. I've made everything from little knit booties for babies to sweaters to you can make stuffed animals, which is pretty fun. Long blankets that generally take me quite some time because you get sick of looking at the yarn, but it's fun because then you can, you know, pick it up later and you've always got this work going. Time that. Oh, okay.
Mama.
So,
What?
thank you for watching. I hope that this was an informative video for you and maybe even turn some people into some knitters for us. Have a good one.